Hello everyone and welcome to my newest video. So I wanted to go over what was said at last weekend's Galactic Nights. And so what this was, Disney had their Imagineers come together for a special panel at the Galactic Nights at Hollywood Studios and tell about what's happening with the development of Galaxy's Edge, which is the Star Wars land that's coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios and Disneyland Park. So in this panel, they showed off concept art. They told us about what's going to happen with, well, they didn't go over the story, but they showed us some of the construction that was going on inside of the Battle Escape attraction. The pictures that I'm going to flash up here are actual photos. They aren't concept art, they aren't CG rendering, that's what is actually built and put inside the buildings that are there, which is impressive. You know, they have the AT-AT in front of Star Tours at Hollywood Studios, but this is actually a full-size AT-AT, well, two full-size AT-ATs that we're looking at. And what's interesting to me is Galaxy's Edge is set during the sequel trilogy, so the movies that are currently coming out with Rey and Finn and Kylo Ren. If we continue to look at these pictures, you'll see that they are Imperial walkers. They aren't, you know, First Order, the guerrilla walkers that were in Episode 8. So that's interesting to note. I wonder if they're repurposed. They're probably repurposed by the First Order to be used against the Resistance, but they said that we're going up against that, and I can't remember if they confirmed it directly or if it was just hinted at, but they said something about them walking, which if so, that will be impressive, because the only AT-ATs that we've seen have been the miniatures in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So if we have a full-size AT-AT bearing down on us on this ride, that is going to be extremely impressive and probably quite intimidating. Now, in this ride, they've also talked about an idea of, you know, you leaving your vehicle and getting onto another, which they haven't confirmed that, but if so, this would truly make this a attraction to experience. They also talked about this new vehicle here, and they've said that it's a Resistance troop transport, and to me it looks like a little Tantive-4, or the Alderaanian blockade runner from the start of Episode 4, with guns on the side and X-Wing engines. And they said something about it taking off, so I'm not sure if that's physical or, you know, just kind of you standing there and it's a video while it takes off, but you end up someplace else, which would be very interesting. Furthermore, I'd like to talk about what the Imagineer that's on the furthest left here was talking about. Now, he was talking about going out, and his job is building props for the new lands in a nondescript location in Orlando, like he said. And so what he was talking about was, you know, creating the full props, creating, you know, the helmets, the blasters, things like that, specifically for Star Wars land. So they aren't playing around. This is going to be completely, you know, accurate to the films. As he was talking about the props, he was also talking about how, you know, when they build stuff for the movies, some of that will be shipped over, so that will be interesting, seeing what movie props will actually be inside the Star Wars land. They also talked about going around the world and finding little greeblies. Now, if you don't know what greeblies are, greeblies is a prop-making, filmmaking term that is just little things that sit around. And that is interesting to me because they said about going into junkyards and finding stuff. So, to me, that poses the question of, well, is everything going to be identical from the one in Walt Disney World to the one that's in Disneyland? Did they find the same materials? Are they having to substitute some from one side to another? Disneyland's will be opening a couple months ahead of Walt Disney World, so when that opens, of course, there'll be, you know, videos of people walking around, rides, that sort of thing. But in that case, you'll also wonder, well, can you do a comparison? Will it be like, well, here's what it looks like from the Disneyland side, and here's what it looks like from the Walt Disney World side? Are there going to be people, you know, trying to do sort of hunt the difference kind of things? They also showed a video of what it looks like, the sort of flyover, and, you know, it looks very similar to the model. If you haven't seen videos or pictures of the model, I'll leave a link to that in the description, as well as the Galactic Nights panel that that I'm taking all this information from. The story of this place is it's called Black Spire Outpost, and it's a specific place that was a trading route, and after hyperspace it's sort of become a bit more decrepit, a bit less used, but it's a perfect place to hide out if you aren't really trying to be seen, like if you're part of the Resistance, or if you're a bounty hunter, or maybe even a smuggler. Maybe even there are a couple of Jedi who survived Order 66, maybe even hiding there. They didn't really give too much more information away from that, other than that there's going to be a pet shop, which I don't really know how that's going to work. Is it going genetically engineered animals? Probably not. You know, it's probably just going to be one of those things that you can sort of look at and walk by, which is pretty interesting. They also have one of the little critters from Rebels that's going to be able to see there. What you're seeing is just sort of a little mock-up of it. The gentleman in the center there, that's Doug Chang, and he is one of the visual leaders for Lucasfilm, specifically on Star Wars, and he's worked very closely with Walt Disney Imagineering on this. Another thing that was said of note in the previous Galactic Nights from last year was they talked about how they're building actual X-Wings. It's not just maquettes. They're metal, they're full-size, and, you know, same thing with the Millennium Falcon. In the movies, it's always one half of it, or it's not completed on the inside, but that's not going to be the case for here. So that's going to be really fun to see. They've also talked about droids. There's going to be droids roaming around, which I'll leave another video to that below. One's been roaming around Tomorrowland at Disneyland. I believe these will be AI, so they'll just follow a certain track and maybe somehow learn to deal with park guests. They've also released trading cards. Now, the first ones up, as you can see, are from the original Galactic Nights, and these coming up now, those are from the current Galactic Nights. And on the back, they have a map on them. I don't have a picture of the map, unfortunately. All I can say is I'm extremely excited for this. The ships are being built in Asia and being shipped over to the States. And I believe they're being both built at the same time, so it's just kind of one gets dropped off in California and then one drops off in Florida, which I can't wait to see this thing in person, man. I know some people were kind of wanting more of like a Tatooine, but I think this is a nice kind of substitute, sort of a place where you can make your own story. It's not just, you know, Luke's was here. This is a planet that those black spires, as I mentioned before, were once ancient trees but became petrified. In this place there's also going to be a cantina, a smuggler's row, a place where a market station where, you know, it's just little shops. It's going to be like Marrakesh. They've gone to Morocco and all these other places to see how these little street vendery things look in person, which I think is really cool. I can't wait to see this. I can't emphasize that enough. It also, from one of the trading cards, I believe it showed a place called Docking Bay 9, and it said this is where you go to join the First Order, which seems kind of interesting because this seems off the beaten path. This planet does. So if the First Order's recruiting there, this planet is basically a battleground between the Resistance and the First Order, which probably leads you into that battle escape attraction that has been nicknamed Alcatraz. Here are some photos of the park overhead. This one's at Disneyland, and this one's at Walt Disney World. I'm pretty sure these photos are out of date, but I'm really looking forward to it. I think that these are going to be really immersive lanes. I mean, one of the things that they've said is if you crash the Millennium Falcon, the cast members will know about that and probably treat you a little bit differently. It's probably going to be a lot of waiting in line, but I can't wait to see it. This is going to be fun. Watch out for those stormtroopers, and remember, these aren't the droids you're looking for. Well, that does it for this video. I hope that you'll have a good day, and may the Force be with you.